The Deputy Energy Minister gave us a new deadline. Some people don't want to believe it. I've got comments on Facebook. Let me share a few with you. What we put there, Deputy Minister of Energy John Jenapo says crisis should be over by March next year. We're talking about the energy situation. Here's Kelvin Baka, who's just laughing his head off on Facebook. And then he says, Ghana, we go die. Emmanuel, Deladam Francis says they should stop making empty promises. They give us months. When it comes, nothing, another story. So people are not just believing it. Were you convinced by what he said?
Not at all, because we've heard these promises over and over again, not from the deputy minister, his boss, the minister, and the president, that this crisis was going to end sometime last year or middle of this year. What has happened? The president comes every time to review his position. The minister comes to review his position. The deputy minister comes to parliament to answer questions, and he reviews the position of government. What I know is that government is not up to task when it comes to the energy situation of this country.
Why?
One, government has not been able to secure the necessary funding or financing to fix the ailing energy situation. Government was so dependent on the completion of the Atuabo gas plant. So all their energies were focused there without taking cognizance of the fact that equipment and other obsolete equipments that ECG and other grid coal, VRA and other energy producing or power producing agencies were also to be tackled. Government looked at one side and saw the problems hit its face from the other agencies. So I think government did not have any comprehensive program for the medium term. They were just looking at getting gas to power other generating systems so we could resolve this problem. But it turned out that Abuaze is not coming on stream. The president says that he made those promises based on projections and data which were made available to him. What has happened to those who made those promises to the president? Has he been able to fire them?
Well, what should he do? I mean, if they made projections and
they
it didn't
are
come
the
through.
technical people. So if you are advising the president, okay, Mr. President, go out and tell the nation that by this date, this is going to happen. You are employed because you have that technical competence. So if you tell Mamavi that analyze this newspaper, you get this results based on your training, and the head of state goes out there and tells the whole country, the country becomes optimistic of the president's promise. And it turns out a year or two that everything that president comes to tell us, to the extent that people are making fun of the president and other state officials in the social media, doesn't speak well of us. Businesses are collapsing. Unemployment is on the ascendancy. People cannot plan or project. So can you build or develop a country where especially you wake up in the morning and you ask your husband or your wife, oh, do we have light today? Are we going to have light in the evening? What kind of country are we living in? That in the 21st century Accra, Greater Accra region, where the NDC national regional chairman is seated by me, that he wakes up in the morning and asks the wife, do we have to buy diesel so we could watch TV in the evening? What kind of joke is this? Yet you wake up and they bring you huge bills. People are paying for diesel more than they would have paid for as electricity bill or cost for prepaid meters. So it's not a good situation, and businesses are collapsing, and that is where my interest lies.
I think I'm looking for a particular headline in one of the papers where it said where it said that the load shedding is going to get to industrial areas beginning today. Because I know that they are feeling it already, but if it's going to worsen, then we have a problem.
Collapse.
See,
we have a big problem.
Total collapse of the economy.
we have a problem because over the years, as a nation, successive governments have failed to anticipate.
Isn't that what we've said?
Yes.
You know, there's this voice clip. Not to cut you. There's this voice clip about Haruna Idrisu.
I know.
Saying that.
I know.
Oh, you know.
I know where you are coming from.
Thank you.
And we are in it. He's been minister for 6 years.
My brother.
And he said that when he was in opposition.
Yes, I don't do Bejai.
So we don't want you to tell us the problems. We don't want to hear what you're doing. We just want you to fix the problems.
Oh, yeah, you on my side or you on my side?
You are voted into office to fix it, not to complain.
No, I have to give you a historic background.
No, we know the history.
Where we are.
We know the history.
Well, you made a statement that we forgot to renew our equipment, and I was coming to that. God were the days where even transformers were taken to Nigeria to go and rewind them. You know what we have gone through as a nation. So we must look at these things holistically, and I believe that your question was as whether the deputy minister's allusion that the situation will end by March. I think you shouldn't have come to say that. The first instance, when I heard that, I said no. You know, Patrick alluded to the fact that the president said, you see, ministers should be up and doing. Let the thing be fixed, and we ourselves will come and tell you that it has been done. But when you come and give us timelines, at the end of the timeline, you are not able to. Before you give the timeline, you should be able to tell us that we've done this, we've done that, and we know that within this period of time, the thing will come to an end. But you come and stand in Parliament and give us timeline.
So was it wrong because he was updating Parliament?
It was not updating Parliament. What I'm saying is that let's fix the thing. When the power goes, it's neither NDC or NPP. It's all of us as citizens, right? Those on dialysis, those on other equipment are all suffering. So let us do the thing. Recently, when the ECG boss was asked to go home, right, you could see some improvement in the power supply. So the question one asks is, what was going wrong? There was I was told that within a week or so, about 5 power stations were being upgraded. You know, how can maintenance? They were doing maintenance job on 5 stations which had to be shut down. How can you plan your maintenance schedule that within a period of 1 week, 5? So these are the kind of problems that the minister should rather address himself to. Find out how can you go and shut down 5 stations at a go and talk about maintenance. What's your maintenance regime? What's the schedule? You know, like he was talking about equipment renewal. What is the regime on the equipment renewal for the next 5-10 years? These are the kind of things we should be talking about, rather than come to tell us about guidelines, march and that. No. So you put the president in a jeopardy. If he comes to announce this and then March, nothing happens, then you call Adekoka and come and sit here and then you ask me, your people said 15 March, that's never. No, we should fix it. We should fix it. I mean, they should stop giving us that.
Does it make your job as chairman of the Greater Accra NDC more difficult?
Yeah, because we have to win the election.
He's frustrated.
No, we have to win the election. And if we continue going this way, our people will not be happy. So fix it and let's have power. And let's have employment. These are the kind of things that will win us an election.
It's clear that they will lose the election.
Why are not going to lose an election? We are going to win.
They are going to lose the election.
We are not going to lose an election. We are going to fix it.
2 years into the administration of President Mahama,
we will fix it.
Everybody knows
we will
his
capabilities.
When I think you're also saying what the deputy minister said. You said we'll fix it. But when?
By March.
When?
I'm not going to give you a timeline.
What do you know if they are really working at fixing the problem?
Yeah, that the president has now appointed the minister for power solely to take charge of power generation.
Are there not challenges with that? Maybe let's focus on it for the next 2 minutes.
Yes.
You've introduced we are already in emergency mood.
Yes.
And you are now establishing a whole fresh ministry. You're talking about putting administrative measures in place.
It's already there. The administrative measures is there because Minister for Energy, they had the section for power, right? But it was being run by deputy minister. Right now, there's a substantive minister who I believe is good in that direction. I believe he's going to spend much of his time in the country rather than traveling outside. That he must sit in the country and work. And that's what we should charge them. They should.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that they should stop
the currently energy minister travels too much.
They should stay in the country and work.
You see, I have the 2015 budget, which was delivered by, that's the president's budget, which was delivered only last week, Wednesday.
The nation's budget.
It's the president's budget.
Where have they read this president's budget?
Listen to me. Budget statement and economic policy of the government of Ghana for the 2015 financial year presented to Parliament on Wednesday 19th by Setepe, Minister of Finance, on the authority of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
The president of Ghana.
Yes, under Article 58.
It's not president. It's not president.
That is the president economic policy for the country. And at page 89, column 453, or paragraph 453, it's the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum. That is the program of the president for 2015. There is nowhere that budgetary allocation was made for the Ministry of Power.
Yeah, but then by that time there was no Minister for Power.
So
Minister of Energy.
When the president was preparing his budget, he didn't know he was going to appoint a new ministry for which a budget was to be set aside for him.
He has just weaned off the power sector to a substantive ministry.
So then there's issue of finance again. How is that ministry going to be financed?
The Minister of Energy comprises of a whole sector. Power, renewables, what do you call it? Energy, all those kind of things. So now that Jinapo was in charge of power, right? And so the budget is there.
And Boa was in charge of what?
No,
Jinapo is deputy minister.
The deputy minister. There are two deputy ministers. And Jinapo, that's right, Dagadu. And Jinapo was in charge of power.
You're not doing anything.
But you see, I've heard people say that, and this is the first time we're creating a separate ministry, even though this is not the first time we're facing these challenges. Some people have said that. Isn't this a sign that the substantive minister is not good enough? He's not competent. So why don't you just fire him instead of create another ministry and have somebody else head that?
I don't want to say that the substantive minister is not good enough. What the government has done is to wean off power generation from the other sector of energy. We are talking about oil, gas, and that kind of thing. In other countries, they have minister for power and they have minister for energy. So
was this an emergency plan for us, or we've always thought about having a separate ministry, a power ministry?
Probably in these countries, you'll be talking about having lots of ministries. And the idea was that we should try and collapse some of the ministries together so that we have less ministers in the system. And we keep saying that sometimes the situation on the ground. Remember when President Kufuor came, before his doing his campaign, he said he was going to reduce the ministries. When he came, realized that was not possible. So he came and said, look, it's easier said than done. What we are saying is that what has been done, we should look at the positive side of this. I believe that once you're having power generation, renewal, our equipment, maybe a substantive minister will focus, and I'm saying that I want this minister to be constantly in the country, rather than going to seminars here, seminars there. He should fix that.
Is that what you know he does?
No, I'm saying that most of our ministers are traveling too much.
And the president is traveling too much. I know the president is traveling today to Qatar. He's returning on Tuesday.
Let us be. Let's. We are talking as Ghanaians. Don't let's be. I'm saying I'm not doing politics.
He said the ministers
I said they should sit down and work.
They are emulating their boss.
That's an objective comment coming from a member of the party.
It's true, but
so you're making they
are looking up to their boss, who is the head of state,
but that is not the
who is traveling too much.
No, the head of state has certain obligations to other countries to sell the image of Ghana.
We
are saying he's also ECOWAS chair, remember?
Is Qatar in ECOWAS?
Oh, Buama, you are not having it. Let's have a very good conversation.
I hear you, Chairman.
Let's have a good conversation. It ensures the benefit of all of us, that this country, that we must at least sit down and do some work. Don't let's play politics with this. I beg you.
The president is traveling too much. You see, the agencies under the Ministry of Power which is yet to be established. ECG, they are very, very poor in terms of their management, revenue mobilization. It's an autonomous, it's a company. VRA, Gridco, Northern Electrification Department, NED. Those are agencies that are going to, I believe, are going to fall under the Ministry of Power. Mr. Amuabua's ministry is now going to be in charge of exploration. How much do we produce in terms of crude oil? That you create a new ministry which is budgetless, whose agencies are non-functioning. People are threatening to go and burn down substations. Oh, it's true.
So what are you saying? We need the power ministry, but we don't need the energy ministry.
We need a serious
the Ministry of Petroleum
that will take the agencies under the power and energy ministry seriously.
You see, Mama,
and give them.
Mama, you see, during their tenure of office, they never even added one.
Oh, look at you.
You see when you are talking.
When you came, you were very happy commissioning the Bui.
We completed the Bui Dam. The Bui Dam was 30 years late. The Bui Dam was 30 years late.
And Kufuor came into power in 2001 after Rawlings had been in power for 19 years.
But the important thing is that you never even added 1 megawatt to our power generation.
To increase the power.
To what?
You were happy.
To what? You know, when they are going to do
so let me just take your thoughts.
Discovered oil.
Yes.
Did that add?
You are enjoying the fruits
did that add any megawatt to the power generation?
Then how come you are now building a gas processing plant?
You didn't.
If we didn't discover crude oil.
We started the discovering of crude oil.
And
we started
were you able to
Can I ask you, Patrick? Can I ask you if the creation of a power ministry is something that the opposition has also thought about?
We don't think about creation without its benefits.
What that they do is to do press conferences.
And the benefits.
They do press conference. They don't add anything to governance.
Let's just allow him. Let's allow him to lie.
He just won his election after going through some tough competition. So I'll allow him. We don't have a problem. It's the president's prerogative to create ministries to help him achieve his agenda. We don't have a problem with this. But whilst creating it, we thought it wise that, oh, look, this year, Ghanaians have been going through a lot of power issues. Did the president wake up one morning to decide that he was going to create a new ministry? How is the new ministry going to function? Where is the budget of that new ministry?
It's there. It's in the energy
You see,
allocation.
I open it to you at page 89. That we don't have any ministry called Ministry of Power.
At that time,
recognized in the budget.
That's right. But now,
so if you are a serious government
there's supplementary
that
budget
takes the power sector seriously, that you know that Ghanaians are going through this mess, industries are collapsing, unemployment is on the increase, and you want to have a medium-term program, then you come to the Parliament of Ghana with your budget without a budgetary allocation for a very important sector such as the Ministry of Power, which you have created. That is my worry. I don't think the president saw the need. It was just a knee-jerk reaction based on his reassignment of the ECG boss. The board chairman had also resigned based on health grounds. You see, the whole ECG and the power sector is not stable. So I think the president must look at the total overhaul of the power sector by putting in the requisite investment. They are over-reliant. They've been waiting for the MCA from America to come, but that has some conditions precedent. Otherwise, that money will not come.
So, Mama V, we are, like you said, we are taking the relevant steps to ensure that the power situation is improved.
Chairman.
We have just.
But you would not give us deadline.
No,
you would not promise us anything.
I believe that.
He's a businessman.
But can we live like that?
No,
can
without-
we live
without
like that and
deadlines.
not know when the situation would get better?
It will get better.
When?
It will get better. Once you've taken the relevant steps to ensure that it gets better and work hard at it. That's why I'm saying that I believe the minister that has been appointed as Minister of Power, I will charge him that instead of going on these conferences here and there, the solutions are here.
You know, and interestingly, he's been one who's he's been very critical. He has been very critical.
That's why I'm saying the solutions are here. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. These days, with modern technology, you want any information, go on the net, you can find it. We should cut out those conferences that we find our ministers all globe-trotting all over the place.
Find out if he's traveling with the president today. Chairman
Who's
is
that?
The new Minister of Power.
If he's traveling with the president.
The
What do you
president is
know?
going to Qatar.
What do you know?
Just find out.
What do you know? What's the
find
president
out.
going to do in Qatar?
You just find out.
So what we are saying is that our ministers should be up and doing. They should stay at home and work and help the president to achieve his vision. That is what is important. That is what is important.
Okay.
These foreign seminars and foreign conferences and that kind of thing should be a thing of the past. We have got 2 years to prosecute our agenda. Everybody should put on the bootstraps and let's go to work.
Okay.